Welcome back to Sunday Night Spookies, the podcast dedicated to exploring the mysterious and the spooky unknown. My name is Lex.
And I'm Sarah.
And this is episode 4, Sarah's house investigation.
Part 2.
Yeah, part 2.
Part 2. So, funnily enough, the first house investigation was part 4 in season 1.
Yeah. We didn't plan it that way, but that's just how the cookie crumbles sometimes.
Yeah. So if you didn't listen to season 1, we're going to go over a little bit of the history of the house, and then we're going to jump into what we got.
So the house was built in 1948, and since then, according to our research, approximately 4 or 5 families have lived here.
From what we can find on just Zillow and
Yellow Pages and whatever else. Yeah. We don't think that anything really tragic has happened here.
No.
We've looked into it, can't find anything about the house or really anything directly nearby. So, but we've always felt like there's been kind of a revolving door.
Yeah, like because we did investigations of this house before the podcast started, even like
many.
a few, and we've always gotten different activity.
Yeah.
There's a few things that happen on a normal basis that I see, like just living here. Well, I guess not really see, but experience.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's kind of just been a free-for-all. Every investigation's been different, which is kind of cool, but also kind of like, what?
like what's happening, because it's always changing. And why is it always changing? Because normally I feel like if there is like a presence, it's usually pretty constant.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem that way here most of the time.
And I've lived here for about going on 6 years now. Sounds crazy.
Gross. We're old.
And when I moved in because this is my husband's parents' house, and I moved in right out of high school, and he had roommates. It was my husband and then a few roommates. And I always thought I heard stuff, but I'm like, well, I got like 4
Could be the roommates.
Yeah, I got 4 other people in the house. And then a few years later, when it was just us in the house, just me and my husband, that's when I'm like, okay, now I'm alone in this house. And it was before we had dogs. Like, I had a cat, but the cat doesn't really screw with a lot of stuff. So we've always kind of had experiences since I've been here. I've always had experiences. And then you came into the picture. We started screwing shit up.
Yep. It's stirring it up, and then it has never stopped, it seems like.
No, yeah, as soon as we like opened the door and was like, this is going to be a normal thing. We're going to investigate here because there's activity. It's like, oh, great. All the things happen.
So before we dive in to our evidence from this investigation, I want to give you a friendly reminder to please grab your headphones. They are essential.
Yes.
There's other episodes, like the topic episodes, you can listen to in your car or out loud, but these you have to listen to with headphones. Otherwise, you cannot hope to hear it as well as you could.
Yeah, especially with this go around of investigation, we've enhanced the audio of the clips. We figured out how to do that, and it makes it a little clearer.
It makes the spirit box clearer and us more garbled. You can still hear us.
Yeah, it just kind of sounds like we're underwater. Or like...
Yeah, it just kind of cuts in and out a little bit because it's like a denoise and an equalizer and all that stuff. So,
But what that does is, since we're louder than the spirit box, it equals it out. So there's a few clips in here that are like, wow, that's really clear.
Yep.
And then some are like, But if you listen with headphones, it's usually a lot better to hear. That's how we evidence review. We always have headphones on when we're evidence reviewing, just because it's so much easier to decipher.
Yeah. So go ahead and grab those.
We'll wait.
Pause it really quick. We'll wait. Pause it and come right back.
Yeah. We want to start out by saying this was the first investigation that our camera guy got to come on. His wife was here as well. Dylan. He's one of our friends that we used to work with. He's actually got a film degree, which is really cool. And he's going to be our camera guy from now on for investigations, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
We don't have to do it on our own anymore. No more like walking around like this. And he's a content creator as well. He's got a Twitch and a YouTube, and he games, which is awesome. So I spend most of my time watching him game.
Yeah, it's fine.
So we're going to leave his information below. And if you like watching games or just like a really funny guy, he's really funny. So please check him out. He's awesome.
Yeah, we'll have all his stuff linked in the description box and also in our link tree.
Yes, in our link tree as well. So we did this investigation partly lights out. When we did our first investigation, not our first, but like the season 1 investigation of my house, part 1, it wasn't a lights out investigation. We were kind of babies at that point.
Yeah, baby investigators.
Yeah. especially with not knowing the flow, like how we flow.
Yeah.
All of that. So, like I said, Dylan and his wife was here, and we were setting everything up. And me personally, I wasn't expecting too much, because the last couple times we've like messed around, not for an episode, we didn't really get much. It was just kind of whatever. But immediately things started picking up.
Yeah, like the second that we turned the spirit box on, actually.
Well, even before that with the flashlight.
Oh, yeah.
We have our little like twisty flashlight that we use, and you were going around taking pictures, and I was setting up the flashlight and the EMF and getting everything out. And I have a whiteboard upstairs, and you'll see it in the videos that we post to like our Facebook and Instagram. But it's got like a little lip for your markers. Mm-hmm. And we had our Connect set up, and I'm like, okay, you can see this flashlight if I set it on the lip. And it went off. The flashlight went off.
And we could not recreate it at all.
No. And we were like, okay, well, it's sitting on metal and it's sitting up against the stairs. And Dylan went up the stairs for a second, or one of us did. And
and I pounded the wall, and then I was like shaking the whiteboard the best that I could. And
we like ran up and down the stairs and tried to get it to go back on, and we couldn't.
Nope.
It didn't go back on the rest of the night.
So.
But as soon as but even before we turned the spirit box on, that flickered a few times, stayed on for a second, and then went dead. And like I said, we couldn't recreate it.
Yeah. So we can't say it's paranormal, but we're not saying it's not paranormal. So in this first clip, it was right when I turned the spirit box on, and you can kind of hear me say, I'm going to turn the temperature off because it beeps obnoxiously.
Yeah, the spirit box will track temp, but our EMF does too. And our EMF doesn't yell. It doesn't yell. We use the EMF to track the temp.
Spirit box makes a god-awful noise, and it will keep doing it. Every time there's a fluctuation, it will keep beeping and keep beeping.
Yeah.
And we had it on for a previous investigation, and I was like, nope.
Yeah.
Turning that off.
Even holding it.
The warmth from your hand will set it off.
It's annoying.
So you hear me talking about that, and then we had already gone through our whole spiel about this is how it works, and this is what the white noise does. We went through the whole spiel. We're happy to talk to you. Yeah, we want to chat. And right as I turned on the spirit box, you hear a man's voice go, "Ready."
It's so clear. And this is one of the clips that with our denoise that we have on and like our enhanced audio, it is very crisp.
Almost sounds like he's in the room.
Yeah. It's crazy.
That, to me, that was the most obvious of all of our clips.
Yeah, and we have about 21. You can see my notebook down here. Speaking to the YouTube peeps, hey. We go through, when we do investigations like this, we'll go through and listen to the audio together. And then my job while you're cutting and clipping audio is I will number each clip that we have and write down what it is.
Yep.
So that when we go to insert it later.
We're on a learning curve for how to record for
and
podcast, but also record for YouTube. So
if you're listening to this on a podcasting app, we have a YouTube.
You should check it out at Saturday Night Spooky. So we're going to insert the ready clip here. Mm-hmm. And here it is. I'm turning the temperature off. Yeah. Ready. Okay. Ready for what? Ready. Our next clip is kind of out of context. There's no context for the next clip.
Out of context. There's no context. We weren't really talking about anything specific. I think we were just all sitting there waiting for something exciting to happen. Mm-hmm. Or I think we were just like settling in. Like, Dylan and his wife was picking a spot, and we were just like getting ready to sit down.
Yeah.
And because, like I said, the first clip was we turned the spirit box on, and then it started going. Right. And so we kind of just paused, and then we're like, okay, we can get comfortable and and get ready to sit here for a minute.
Right. And it's a different voice than the first clip, but it also very clearly says hope.
Yeah.
Almost as clear as the ready, not quite, but a different voice. So we don't know what it means, but we wanted to include it because
it was really clear, and we don't know if it's a name.
Who knows? We don't know, but we're mental note it in case it is a name.
Yeah.
But we'll play that for you now. In our next clip, you will hear, was it me or you? I can't remember.
I don't know.
Maybe
one of
me.
us.
I think it was me because I always ask that question. I ask, how old are you? And we hear a very clear response. It says 6.
It says 6, but there's like, you can clearly hear the word 6, but there's a distinct noise about it. It's a distinct
It's like extra mechanical, and I don't really know how to explain it, but it's not like the other clips where you can hear the spirit box like chattering, and then 6. It's like 6, but like I don't know.
It's mechanical.
Yeah,
we heard that.
We heard like 6
between 10 and 13 times.
Yeah,
a ton. And it was that same kind of noise. So I don't know if it was like a weird interference noise that we kept hearing, but it kept saying 6, or if a radio station had something to do with 6.
Maybe there's like a phone number that has the number 6 in
like
it,
like a radio station ad or something. But we heard it so often, so we wanted to include it because it kept happening.
And we also don't hear it any other time either.
We've never heard that before.
No. So something notable to hear. We'll play that for you right now. How old are you? In our next clip, you will hear me ask, how many of you are there? And we don't really get a direct answer to that.
No, we do get an answer, though. Or we pick up on something. And we wanted to include it because, like the previous clip, there's not really much context, but it comes up again later.
And it's loud. I don't want to say clear. I want to say that it's loud. And we had a little bit of a disagreement on what it says.
Yeah.
To me, it's saying, I talk.
Or hi, talk.
Yeah, but the T's also not super clear. But
it also could say, I walk.
Yeah.
Or something, uck. Like it. Yeah. We don't really know what it's saying, but we decided to go back and include it because it comes up again.
Yes, and it's loud.
Yeah.
And so it's not, to me, it's not radio interference because it's so loud.
And it lasts for more than like 1 second or one
blip of the spirit box.
The white noise.
Yeah. So we'll play that for you right now. How many of you are there in here? After that, I ask again, how many of you are there? Because I want the answer.
Yeah, because we didn't get a direct response, so we're like...
I need the answer. And so right after I asked, 8, yeah. And the 8 was a man's voice. The yeah was a female's voice, kind of like agreeing. Yeah, there's 8.
The female voice was kind of further away.
Yeah.
Than the man's voice, because the man's voice was loud. And then it's like, yeah.
Yeah, there's 8 of us, hey.
Which was, I'm like, 8.
That's what? A little too many to be sharing a house with.
Little much ghosties for me.
Maybe they all live upstairs.
We go upstairs.
Stay tuned for that.
We go upstairs in this investigation, guys.
Yeah, so stay tuned. We'll play that clip for you right now. How many of you are there? Can you tell me?
So our next clip is a little jarring to me. We were all kind of sitting there, and all 4 of us are talking about my tendency to completely overreact. If you have seen any of our evidence videos on our Instagram or Facebook, I freak out.
In every evidence video that comes, she's not going to change her reactions.
No, and every time we get something that's really clear or really cool, I'm like,
oh my God!
I throw my arms up, I yell. So we were talking about that. I was kind of joking to Dylan and his wife that this is a thing I do. And I think we were talking about previously when we heard one of these clips, I didn't really react that much. And so that's how we were talking about it. We're like, wow, that was calm for me.
Yep.
And then the spirit box comes on and says, Sara, very clearly. Did we hear that in the moment?
Yeah. I want to say yes, we did.
I just
I think I'm like, Sara?
Oh yeah, you say it and then you make a weird gagging noise. We didn't include the noise because it was weird.
I took out the gagging noise because it was gross.
But it was
yeah, it was pretty bad.
No. So we're gonna play it for you. I'm not happy about it.
Sarah? Sarah? Our next clip kind of makes me feel bad for Kenny, and I don't know who he is, but someone hates him because in our next clip, you hear a man say, "Hate Kenny."
And there was no context. We were still gawking at the fact that it said my name really clearly.
It was immediately after, I think.
Yeah, immediately after. Hate Kenny. I don't know what Kenny.
I even thought it could say hate any. Like, it's like, Sarah, hate any of those.
Any Sarahs.
Is what I was
Dumb.
thinking. But it you can kind of hear a K. So I think it's Kenny.
Like Kenny, Penny. It's a name. It sounds like a name.
It sounds like there's like a consonant before the any.
Yeah.
But I don't know what consonant it is because it's soft.
Yeah.
So we're figuring that out. But
sorry, Kenny.
Sorry, Kenny. We'll play it for you now. So our next clip is a little bit daunting. Mm-hmm. Daunting is the word I'm going to use.
Interesting. It's interesting.
Interesting. And could we be blowing it out of proportion and just running with something? Yeah, absolutely. We do that all the time. But
we're overdramatic people.
It's like, we can't help it. But so we're talking about the cat and how he ran in front of me while we were messing around with the Connect.
Mm-hmm. And we're talking, we were just kind of, he like screwed up your legs or whatever. And we were like joking about it.
Yeah. And I was like, I need a drink. And so I went.
Because we had beer.
We had cider.
Sorry.
And so I went to go grab my drink, and you can hear a male voice go, "Penance."
It's clear too. I think you overlap it or it overlaps you?
Just slightly.
Slightly.
Very slightly. And if you don't know what penance is, we looked it up. We're non-religious in general.
Not really.
So penance is basically like a self-inflicted punishment for your sins. Mm-hmm. That I think you're not required to do, but that you're urged to do.
You're encouraged.
Yes.
If you kind of like confessing your sins or like confessional booths, so you go and like, Father, I have sinned, and you like repent, basically. You confess your sins.
It's the repentance of your sins.
Yeah.
Basically. So we're like, well, what did we do? Is what we were thinking.
Like, are we, because we're drinking? Like, I don't.
So we're like, maybe it's because we're drinking, but like, if they can drink a little cup of wine in church every Sunday,
yeah,
I can have a cider, okay?
Yeah.
So we're like, we're kind of like going through all the things that we were doing to figure out what we would need.
Spoiler alert, it wasn't a wild night. We weren't doing anything wrong.
No. It was a regular night. So we came to the conclusion that maybe it had to do with the fact that we were talking to spirits.
That we were communicating at all. With spirits.
Yes.
Because I don't know, like, if you, like, I grew up with a few friends that their families were very hyper religious and they weren't even allowed to do Halloween. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they wouldn't even come to school around Halloween because, you know, kids talked about like Halloween Town and witches and magic. And
I love Halloween.
I had friends that were like, if they watched it or heard anything about it, their parents would just flip. And so I kind of knew once you brought up the idea, I'm like, that makes sense. Some people that are hyper religious are either terrified of it or it's such a huge sin that you know,
right.
That's a no.
Yeah. And so we Googled that.
Yeah.
And because I admittedly know nothing about the Bible. I know it exists.
I don't really either.
That's about it. I don't know anything about it. I don't know anything about specific chapters or verses or anything like that. But we looked up. I think I typed in Bible verses about talking to the dead. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of them.
Yeah. More than I thought there was going to be. Because, like, I grew up with a pretty religious family, and my family's still pretty religious. So I know a little bit about the Bible. I never studied it when I was younger, but and my family wasn't one of the families that were like, you can't do Halloween. And so Halloween was my favorite growing up. Like, I think we've talked about this before. So I knew that it was frowned upon a little bit, but I didn't know that the Bible mentioned it this often.
It really does. We'll start with Deuteronomy 18, verses 10 through 13. There shall not be found among you anyone who burns his or her son as an offering, anyone who practices divination or tells fortunes or interprets omens, or a sorcerer or a charmer or a medium or a necromancer or one who inquires of the dead. For whoever does these things is an abomination to the Lord. And because of these abominations, the Lord your God is driving them out before you. You shall be blameless before the Lord your God. So basically that's don't.
Not good. Yeah.
Don't mess.
I think there was even verses that say you'll be stoned.
There is Leviticus 19:31. Do not turn to mediums or necromancers. Do not seek them out, and so make yourselves unclean by them. I am the Lord your God. Leviticus 20:27. A man or a woman who is a medium or a necromancer shall surely be put to death. They shall be stoned with stones. Their blood shall be upon them. So, and there's more. There's a good many more, maybe even 100 more.
And I think the idea is, because I knew in the Christian faith and a few faiths, I want to say a few religions, that divination is frowned upon. And I think that's the idea behind that, I think, is that you should trust in your God. Mm-hmm. You should have enough faith in your God not to question him. And I think divination to some people is questioning the universe, or questioning, like doubting your God. And that's frowned upon. Yeah. I love divination. And divination could be the magic 8-ball. Like that's, that's considered divination. And so we kind of inferred that we're not necromancers because we don't like call upon the dead to do our bidding.
But in a way, we are inquiring about the dead.
Mm-hmm. And we're not mediums. I mean, I'm not.
But we fall into a weird subcategory that I think is pretty close to both. Yeah. And so maybe here's our long-winded way of saying that maybe we need to be repentant of our sins of talking to dead people.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna keep doing it.
Me too. It's fine. Me too. So we'll insert that clip for you now. Enjoy.
Apparently sushi's here for her.
I need my drink.
Apparently sushi's here for her.
I need my drink. So at this time, we started messing with the Connect.
Yeah.
Besides, like, doing our little, like, dance moves in front of it and, like, watching the stick figure dance around. So I sat on the floor and I asked, are you sitting next to me right now? And this is, rewind, this is in the dark.
Yeah, like I said, when I said in the beginning, we had a completely lights out investigation for the most part. Mm-hmm. This is the part up until like this point, we were in 100% darkness other than like the laptop screen from the Connect. But the Connect is picking up on dark too. So it wasn't really that bright. We were just in like complete darkness.
Right. So I'm sitting there, I'm mapped on the Connect, I will say. And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, are you sitting next to me right now? And at this time, there was no figure on the Connect. Spoiler alert. But I ask, okay, are you sitting next to me? And we got a yes.
It's like you barely finished the question. It was like, yes.
Yeah, immediately after. But then we kind of had a little debate between the two of us. Does the light need to be on to see a spiritual entity on the Connect?
Well, because in theory, yes. Like, well, of course you need light. You need light to pick up on you, whatever. But you don't, though. As long as you are mapped.
Me, just fine.
Yes. And because why the Connect works, grain of salt, is because it uses infrared light. So if we have our night vision camera, kind of like how your iPhone can screen, like face recognize you, there's a flash of light that happens that you can't see.
You really can't see it. It's actually kind of cool. I saw it on a security camera.
Yeah. So when we were in the National House Inn, the security camera was picking up on you, like getting up and checking your phone or whatever.
And on the night vision, it was like flashing. And of course, we're not seeing that
because it's infrared light.
Yeah.
And so the Connect uses infrared light, and that's why it's supposed to work, is because it can pick up on things that our eyes can't see, like full spectrum cameras. But then that begs the question, since it's using infrared light, does it need normal light?
Well, because it could see me. But if, like, my major joints, like my hip joints, if you couldn't see them, it would stop mapping me. And I would have to kind of, like, stand halfway up so it could see me, and then I could sit back down. But if my joints went away, in light, it would see me longer because it'd be able to see me.
It's easier. Like, if you moved in the dark, it took a second to pick you back up. But if you moved in broad daylight, it follows you just fine.
Right.
So we're kind of torn on
it. Because any, like, ghostly entity, obviously we can't see it with the naked eye. Well, some people can.
Good for you guys.
I cannot. But it makes me wonder, like, would turning the light on make a ghostly entity more visible?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or
and there's no way to, like, really test it. Because you can't, like, on demand
summon a ghost to be like, hey, you stand here and we're going to have a controlled experiment right here. But if you guys have any thoughts on that, let us know.
Input, or, like, if you've used stuff like that before and you know, like.
It's.
The more I think about it, the more I'm like, every time we've gotten the figure on the Connect, we've been in clear daylight. Well, not daylight, but we've had all the lights on.
Every time.
And it was like, it wasn't dim light, it was light. We've had lights on.
And maybe having the light on, it's a tangent now.
Yeah.
If the lights are on, is there an easier way to see the change? Like, is it easier to detect a change in, like...
Movement?
Or
position?
Or like, yeah.
Well, yeah, cool, because we were in the National House Inn, and we talked about that in the episode. You can see the figure that sits in our chair turn and watch you and uncross its legs and turn back around in daylight. So
it's something to think about. It's curious. It's a curious topic. And
curiouser.
If you have any ideas,
bonus points if you can name that movie.
I can't.
My mom would be so disappointed.
Long story short,
we're gonna play the clip.
We got a clip of somebody saying that yes, they were sitting next to me,
despite the fact that there was only one figure in the Connect, and that was you.
Yes. So we'll play that now. Enjoy. Are you sitting next to me right now? Are you sitting next to me right now? At this point, we are all around talking, shooting the shit. We talked about a lot of different things. It was
mostly because Dylan and his wife haven't been on an investigation with us. Like I said, it was Dylan's kind of test run before we go to like bigger locations.
Yeah, we had to see if he was worth it. Just kidding.
Yeah, just kidding. We love you, Dylan. A lot of time we were spent explaining stuff, talking about what had happened previously.
Yep.
I think at this point we were talking about the numbers on my clock, actually. One of the things that prompted this investigation to be another episode is the clocks on my stove and my microwave have been moving, and I don't mess with those. Like, I don't even use the timer on my stove. I just use my phone or my Alexa. I have an Alexa. I just say, Alexa, start a 10-minute timer.
Yep.
I don't think I ever use the timer on the stove or the microwave.
One day we were sitting in the kitchen, and I was like, your microwave says that it's 5:17. It is not 5:17. And I think it was like
it was New Year's.
Oh, yeah.
It was New Year's. Yep. We were getting ready to leave, and I said 5:17, and I'm like, and I thought it was just running. Like, I left it running, and I canceled it. You were sitting there, and it was like the time.
Yeah.
That was the time it said. And so I reset it a couple days later because I forgot to do it. And then the one day I was making lunch, and I started Snapchatting you because the clock on my stove said 5:14. And like, I didn't use the oven that day. Like I said, I don't use a timer. And I was in the Snapchat, and you can attest to this. I was like pushing the button because I'm like, timer off, timer off. Like I thought, like, did Austin leave a timer on? Like, did he use it in the middle of the night? Because he works thirds, and some of the nights that he is off, he makes cookies or puts something in the oven or whatever. But there was no timer, so I left it. I'm like, fine, you want to say 5:14? You say 5:14. I ate my lunch, and I came back, clicked timer off, and then it went back to the normal time it was.
So, iffy. Little interjection. We did ask in our session, does the 5 o'clock hour mean anything to you?
We didn't get an answer.
No answer. So that's not in here anywhere because it didn't happen.
Yeah.
But so while we were talking about that, Sarah and I and Dylan,
Dylan
all heard a woman sighing,
whimpering,
like a
It was just kind of like
It wasn't like a weep. It was just kind of like a woman settling in. I don't know.
Yeah, just like a barely audible.
Yeah, just something.
And it was like a couple times it happened, and you and I looked at each other, we're like, did you just hear that?
Yeah, did you just hear that? And Dylan's wife didn't hear it.
But Dylan did, because Dylan's like, yeah, I heard it. And he was like, we were sitting against the stairs, and his wife was sitting in the chair, and he was kind of like off by us a little bit, and filming us, but he heard it. And so we believed that it was in like the direction behind us, which the rest of the house was over there. So, and the stairway was over there upstairs. But we kind of like marvel at it for a minute. We're like, the three of us heard that, right?
Yep.
And then we ask, was it you making that noise? I think you asked it. Or you making that noise?
Yep.
We get a response.
Yeah.
Very clear response.
We'll play it for you now. Were you making that noise? Were you making that noise? So at this point, I'm still sitting on the floor begging some kind of ghostly entity to come sit next to me, and no one's doing it.
As per usual.
As per usual. So I ask, hey, is there a reason you don't want to sit next to me? Do I smell bad? Am I weird?
See, the beauty of being on YouTube is I can do that now.
Yeah, just make faces at the camera.
Yeah.
Office cuts. And we got a response.
A weird one. We don't know what it means.
No. Well,
like, as per usual.
I have some speculation, but so I ask, why don't you want to sit next to me? Or is there a reason why you don't want to sit next to me? And we get the response, switch.
It was clear and loud too. Switch.
Because we heard it in the moment.
Yeah.
And then there's a pause, switch.
And there was like another quieter voice. Switch.
So I don't know what that means.
Like,
did it want us to switch people?
Switch people in the Connect, switch spots. Like, I just saw something in the laundry room.
No, you didn't.
Yep.
No. No, you didn't. I don't want to do that.
Do you want to know what I think it...
What?
It literally... I'm going to redo it.
What are you going to redo?
I'm gonna go over there.
Don't go over there, you freak of nature.
This was so clear to me. Are you looking over here?
Yeah? No.
That's literally, I saw... It looked like a blonde head. Like it was just...
No. Okay, I'm uncomfortable.
As I'm talking about how I don't see things,
Okay.
I could throw up. I have goosebumps all over my body. So, we had to make a brief interruption to this recording.
An unplanned one that wasn't our fault.
Yeah, an unplanned one. That wasn't our fault. We were sitting here talking, recording, filming the podcast, and over here, you can see it on our YouTube, but you can't see it in our podcast, so listen carefully. Where we are sitting, we are facing like the most of my basement. We're at the back of my basement. And to my right is my laundry room over here. And I can see into the laundry room. I have an open washer. I have a bookshelf with a box on top of it. And the bookshelf is probably my height, and the box is on top of it. It's a cardboard box. Looks like a cardboard box. So I'm sitting here talking, and I just look up, like I'm just panning over here, and shit you not. And I said earlier in this podcast, I don't see things, right? I experience things, I hear things, I feel things, I don't see things. I saw what looked like a blonde head of hair pop out and pop back in. And
I'm nauseous.
I did a double take because I'm like, that cardboard box isn't that light of a color. Like, I remember thinking that, like, and I just freaked out about it because I don't see things. Another thing to add to our list while we're talking about my investigation, or, my house investigation. And I went over there and I redid it for you. I like, this is what I saw. So, freaky. Sorry to interrupt. I think we were talking about our switch clip.
Yes. Our switch clip when I ask why they don't want to sit next to me.
Yeah. Yes. So, switches and switch people, switch spots.
We aren't sure. We don't know what the answer is, but we'll play that clip for you right now. Is there a reason you don't want to sit next to me?
Switch.
Switch what? Switch again.
Do you want her to leave the screen so you can come on? Like switch spots?
Is there a reason you don't want to sit next to me?
Switch.
Switch what? Switch again.
Do you want her to leave the screen so you can come on? Like switch spots?
Throughout the entire evening, I was trying to get our ghostly friends to say my name.
As per usual.
Usually, or Sarah's name, because it makes her wildly uncomfortable, and I enjoy that personally. But earlier in the night, I thought that I had heard it say Lex. It doesn't. On playback...
Well, you and I both thought it did.
In the moment we did, on playback, it definitely does not. I can see why we would think that, but it doesn't.
It was close, but not quite.
So I ask, can you say my name again? And I think I even promised not to ask again.
Yeah, you're like, I promise I won't ask for the rest of the night if you just do it.
You just say it right now. And of course, that's not true, because I will. I will ask again. But we got an answer, and it sounds like almost like a question. You can hear Alexis.
Yeah, and it sounds like a question, like it's
like the upturn at the end of my name. Yeah, the
inflection.
And it's definitely that.
Yeah, and there's a break between Lex is. Yeah, like there's a little blip.
Wait, is that like, what's your name? Is it like Alexis? Right? I think that's kind of how you would say it. Like we were talking to somebody else, like Sara. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like you can't remember somebody's name after a long period of time.
The trail over because it's a white noise box. Like, it's a...
Right. Well, I mean, that's how you would say it with anybody, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're like, oh, I know you. Your name is Sarah.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's kind of how I took it. But you know what? Listen for yourself. I'm not delusional.
Yes, she is.
Can you say my name one more time? I promise I won't beg you to say it again today. Am I wrong? Lex. That sounds like Lexus. Am I wrong? Lex. So, someone very religious was over our shit, I think. Or a group of people very religious were over our shit.
Yeah.
Because, again, we heard the word penance.
And this was one of those times we were just talking, explaining something to Dylan and his wife, or just sitting there.
Yeah, not actively investigating, I wouldn't say.
Yeah.
Like, the spirit box was running.
It had been
The
quiet for a
recorder
minute.
is running. We're just, like, sitting there. And there's no context. We weren't asking any questions. We weren't really doing anything.
And we didn't hear it in the moment either. Probably because we didn't know what the word meant, and so we didn't pick it up.
Right. But penance.
It was a different
Again,
voice.
A different voice. So I think it's a group of people. And if it was the same voice, I might be more inclined to be like, oh, maybe that's a radio commercial that we're hearing wrong or something. But we don't hear.
Or a residual thing, maybe.
Right. And we don't hear radio commercials. I feel like we're like
We hear
saying
radio
it.
interference, but we don't hear it long enough to know, like, that's a State Farm commercial.
Right,
Like,
no, never that. It's always just, I mean, you never know. Like, if there's, like, a singular number, like...
The six.
Like, the 6 we were talking about, maybe that could make it through.
Yeah, maybe.
The word penance is not going to come through. It's too many syllables.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So we'll play that clip for you now. Yeah, very sorry to those that we were obviously offending.
So this next clip is one that relates back to the I talk clip, like we were talking about earlier. This one sounds different, but not super different. Like, I don't know if it would be a whole different person, because it sounds similar, but not quite the same.
And kind of the same inflection on the
Yeah.
words. This one was a little bit more abrupt, I thought.
And this one was aggressive. Like, it says, this one clearly says walk. The first syllable could be hi, I, something. We don't really know. No. We're hearing two different vowel sounds, kind of. But the walk part is what's strong. And it's like walk. It's aggressive.
It's kind of like a demand, I would say.
Yeah. But weren't we sitting down?
Yeah, I don't know what we were doing.
We're not walking anywhere.
But it was like walk.
Yeah. But even though we can't make out exactly what the first syllable says, we thought it was similar enough to the first time it happened, and the walk is so clear that we wanted to include it. So I'll play it for you.
Are you a man or a woman? In the next clip, I ask, do you know why you're here? I don't know what answer I was looking for.
I don't know. This one's kind of sad, though.
Yeah, and neither one of us is 100% sure on what it says, but it is loud.
Yeah, and on first playback, like when we sat down to do evidence review today, I heard trouble. And that is sad. Like,
Yeah.
are you in trouble? Are you what? Like,
But then I heard trapped.
and if you think
And
about
I can see when I think trouble, I hear
trouble.
And
when I think trapped, I hear trapped. So going on first instinct, I heard trouble, you heard trapped. First time through.
Yeah. Either way, not a positive experience.
No, it's sad. It's a sad answer.
No. So we'll play that for you right now. Let us know if you hear it. It kind of reminds me, and there's other clips like this where it's just like the Laurel and Yanny situation. Yeah. Or like if you ever saw like the Green Needle and Brainstorm video, like if you think one or the other, that's the one that you hear.
It kind of reminds you of like the blue dress or gold dress type thing.
It's, whichever one you think about is one you're going to see or whatever. But we'll play it for you now. Let us know if you hear something different or which one
What
you
do
hear.
you think?
Maybe we'll start a poll. Who knows?
Do you know why you're here? Do you know why you're here?
So we were kind of inquiring about the location of our entity friend. So we're like, are you upstairs? Are you downstairs? Like, what room are you in?
Mm-hmm.
Give us a clue. And we got a response that is confusing, but I feel important.
Yeah, and this one was difficult for me to hear at first because there is a break in the word.
Mm-hmm.
Like it almost like if your CD player skips, if you had a CD player growing up, there'd be skips like in the music, like if it was scratched or something. That's kind of what it reminds me of. There's a skip in the word.
And that's how it works with it scanning the frequencies. It's just going to have a weird blip.
Sometimes, yeah. So we kind of waited for a second and we think it says lethal. Mm-hmm. Which, what?
First off, what's lethal?
Right. And so when I heard it and when it clicked in my brain that that's what it was saying, or that's like the closest to what it was saying to us anyway, it was like, oh, like what?
Lethal? Is being upstairs lethal? Is being downstairs lethal? Is talking to ghosts lethal?
Yeah, like what's lethal? Why are you using that language?
But it's very like it's very specific language to use.
Yeah,
I feel
and like I said, once because you didn't tell me what it said. You're just like, listen to it. It says something. So I kind of came to the conclusion on my own that it's like lethal. Yeah, it says lethal, and that's kind of like I like using that technique because then I'm not like influencing you or you're not influencing me. So we do that quite often.
Yeah,
and sometimes I'm just an idiot and can't hear anything.
We just sit here and argue about what something says or doesn't say for
a long time. We don't want to admit how long.
It's fine.
Shush. But so we'll play that for you here because, like I said, it was kind of an important clip.
Yeah.
But we don't really know why. It says lethal. Are you upstairs or are you downstairs?
Now, we didn't hear lethal in the moment.
No.
So we just kept it going. Mm-hmm. And we're like, hey, are you upstairs? Because
in the past, the upstairs has always been a
paranormal hotspot of negativity.
Yeah.
Is what we're going to call it. And we did get a response, and it sounds like it's a second floor.
And the second is very quick. I was like, second floor? Mm-hmm. Like the floor is clear. The second is like second. Like it's quick. Mm-hmm. But
and second floor to me, I would say second floor is upstairs.
Because I have a basement, a main floor, and a second floor. The second floor has a bedroom and kind of a little lofty area.
Yeah. It's like a little loft.
So it's like
the room. Yeah.
Yeah.
And some storage.
So second floor.
Right. That's what I interpreted second floor as. Because I wouldn't say your main floor is a second floor.
No. Mm-mm. No.
So we'll play that for you right now.
Are you upstairs?
We took that as our invitation to visit the upstairs, which we were semi-terrified about, but Dylan pressured us.
Yeah, Dylan was all for it.
Peer pressured us.
Peer
to
pressure,
go up there.
Dylan.
But I have
a feeling he's going to be doing a lot of that.
But you know what? That's fine. You know, why do I feel like he's going to be like he's not like Zach Bagans, but he's like, do it. Like,
yeah.
Like how, like the same kind of like, we gotta do it. We gotta go.
Yeah, we gotta find out.
We gotta sit in the morgue by ourselves.
Yeah. That's him. Yep.
That's something that Dylan would do. He's not
a provoker.
He's not.
But
yeah.
he's curious, I think.
And so he forced us against our will.
That sounds extreme. He didn't force us.
That room scares me.
Yeah, it's a scary room.
So we went up there.
And on the way up, even his wife was like, oh, this feels weird. She was like, this is not a good vibe. And we're like, yeah, told ya. So we stood on the loft for a little bit. And the second bedroom, it's like a third bedroom. The bedroom that's up there is used for storage right now. It's just kind of like stuff that his parents have here, stuff that we don't want, like Christmas decorations.
Catch-all.
Yeah, it's like a catch-all room for just random crap that we have in this house. And so he was like, well, let's go in there. Of course. So we do. Mm-hmm. And this is probably one of the coolest / scariest things that's happened to both of us in an investigation thus far.
Yep.
So we walk in there, and like I said, the whole room is storage. You'll probably see it in the video. There's a whole bunch of crap everywhere. But there's like a little like cleared out spot where you can like walk and dig through the storage.
Basically.
I'm not very organized. So as soon as we get settled, and you know, Dylan's kind of panning around, filming. His wife has the EMF detector. You have the spirit box, and I'm just kind of chilling. I'm just standing
hanging
there.
out.
I'm hanging out. I don't have any. I'm hands free.
She's sitting in the corner shaking.
Yeah. Well, so we're just kind of standing in a group, and I'll post the video so you see it. But I have like a shiver go down my spine, and then I just freak out for a second, and I grab my hair, and it's because something moved my bangs out from my face. And you can't see it you can't see my bangs like move on their own in the video because it was just like a one little hair. But it felt like something picked up a strand of hair and moved it out of my face. And I lose it at this point. I'm like holding my head, I'm breathing hard.
What is happening?
And I told you, I'm like, something just touched my hair, and you're like, no, it didn't.
I'm in the video, I'm like, no.
No, it didn't.
No, it didn't.
No, it didn't. And then I walk out of the room. And I'm kind of like pacing, like just losing it. And you're like, okay, did you just touch Sarah's hair? And it was all kind of like a heightened thing because it was just like, I've never been touched before. Ever. That sounds weird.
Yeah.
I've never had a ghost touch me before. And so we're kind of sitting there and we're like, did you just touch your hair? And we're freaking out. And then we had an EMF spike because his wife, like, you know, immediately put the EMF over there and was like trying to catch something. And then you had something happen.
Indeed, I did. And you know what? You don't have to just take my word for it. Because like maybe like a minute later, it wasn't immediately after.
It was, I would say, like between 3 and 5 minutes later. Because I had come down at that point and we were talking about something.
And I was like, something just touched my hair.
Yeah. You're like, no, you said my head feels tingly.
Oh, yeah.
That's how it started.
My scalp feels tingly. And then I was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I think that's when Dylan's wife put the EMF detector up to my head.
Yeah, the first time that she put it up to your head, there was a spike of 0.02. And Dylan didn't get it. No. But then he rushed in with the camera.
Yeah, and then we ended up getting video footage of it being 0.01. And there's not normally EMF readings in that room.
No,
for the record.
Before we do any kind of investigation of any place, we do an entire EMF sweep.
Yep.
So that was crazy.
But then, like, right after the EMF spike, I could feel something stroking my hair. But, like, so soft. It was so soft. But my scalp was tingling, and I could feel my hair moving. It was not my favorite experience.
No, you handled it way better than I do. As per usual. You didn't move or anything. You're like, something is just stroking the back of my head.
But you know what, though? We didn't even put this in here. After it touched her hair, I said, you can touch my hair.
Oh, yeah. That's the first thing you said. You're like, you can touch me. You can touch my hair.
Yeah, you can touch my hair. Do it. And then I think Dylan's wife goes, don't touch me.
Yeah. She was like, don't touch me. I'm fine. Don't touch me.
I'm like, you can touch my hair. I don't care. And then it was a few minutes after that it actually happened.
Yep. And I was like, yeah, touch her, not me. Like I was losing it, guys.
Something just touched my hair.
No, it didn't.
I'm not even kidding.
No, it didn't.
Something just touched my hair.
No.
With my bangs.
No.
It did.
Did you? Okay. Did you touch Sarah's hair? Why? It feels like something like touched the top of my head. It feels like something is touching the top of my head. Right here. Oh, there was a 2 on the screen for a second.
Did you get that?
Like as soon as I put it there, it feels like there's something 0.02
touching the top of my head still.
Oh.
There's a 1.
Yep.
I got it.
It's funny on playback, but I'm like in the moment, man. And like it's a genuine reaction too. Like when it first happens, like I obviously want to post a video, but I have like a shiver run down my spine. Like you get like a shiver. And then I'm like, like my hands fly up to my head and I'm losing it. It was just a wild experience. Back to the, like your scalp tingling, we ended up going back downstairs shortly after that. Because it was just kind of intense and we're like, I think we had footsteps. Mm-hmm. I heard footsteps, and
I heard them too.
and I freaked out again. I like ran over to the steps and like,
What
did
else
you guys
is
hear
there?
that? Yeah, for real. But I'm like, did you guys just hear that? And it was sounding like something just dunk 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 like ran down the stairs. And so we like debunked it a little bit, and we're like talking to the kid, like maybe the cat ran down the stairs or whatever. The cat didn't run down the stairs. He was next to us.
Yep.
So we go downstairs, and almost immediately after I step in front of the Connect camera, there's a figure there next to me. And I bring up your head tingling is because we were trying to get it to wave, and it wasn't waving. So I reach my hand back because I was standing in front of it, and as soon as I reach my hand back, it reaches up and touches it. Like it's sitting on the ground.
You can see it in the video. Just grab it.
Yeah, it's creepy. And so I'm like, and then my hand starts tingling. And I stood there for a minute, and I didn't move. And I was doing really good, guys. I didn't move. I let it happen. And after a minute, it like stops doing it. It like, you know, drops its hand or whatever. But your scalp was tingling. My hand tingled when it touched me. And look, when the Connect showed that it reached up and grabbed my hand, it was wild. Like for those like 20 minutes, we didn't really get much on the spirit box during that time, but we got to touching on the head, the Connect figure. And then after that, it kind of just
fizzled,
which I always feel like it gets really intense before it just dies off in every investigation.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I feel like once we start freaking out, they're like, they've had enough. Cut them off.
We probably scared them away. They're probably like, we don't have time for this kind of
You guys are
energy.
obnoxious.
We are departed. We do not have the motivation to deal with this right now. And they're just like, we're going to go.
So as we said, things kind of fizzled out at this point. And the Connect figure was gone. I was standing in front of it, and we were explaining to Dylan's wife, like if you can't map the joint, or I think the cat walked in front of it.
Yep.
And we were talking about how like it doesn't really map animals. I mean, it can sometimes. Like the one time it picked up Artie.
It mapped Artie the one time.
The one time, but they're not upright, and they don't have major shoulder, hip, knee joints that it needs the major big joints in a body to like map it. And as I said that, I think I said it needs to see your major joints, and the spirit box had been quiet, and you can hear something go, I know.
Like, you don't need to tell me that because I'm not stupid.
Yeah, I know how this works. And that was the last thing that we got of the night. And I'm like, what a weird thing to end on.
Yeah.
Like, I know.
And
it was like sassy.
I know how it works, and that's why I'm not doing it. Thank you.
Yeah, for real.
So we'll insert that clip for you right now.
That's why animals don't show up, because they can sometimes, but typically they don't, because you can't see all of the joints.
Our last clip happened towards the beginning of the night, but we took it out of order because it doesn't go with anything that we were doing.
Yeah.
But we got the weirdest noise on the spirit box.
Weirdest noise.
It never have heard that noise in the entire time of owning it. And so it's not a word as far as I can tell. I don't know what it is.
No. And if you have a spirit box or if you used it, have you heard this noise before?
Yeah, we're curious.
Because not earlier in the day, but like in past investigations, we've kind of made the connection that if we hold the phones too close to the spirit box or anything else electronic, it makes a weird chirping noise.
Yep.
So we're like...
We were very cognizant of that this time, and I was making sure to keep them like 6 inches apart.
Yeah.
So that didn't happen, and it didn't happen.
It didn't. No, it doesn't. And we're like conscious of it now. Like we're like, make sure to hold it further away. So we don't know what causes the noise, but it's a weird noise.
Yeah, so take a listen, and if you have any idea what it is, let us know.
Can you tell us your name?
So we want to say a special thanks to Dylan and his wife for joining us on Dylan's first investigation with us, who will be on many more.
Yeah, he's not the official camera guy, so sorry, Dylan, you're roped in.
Yeah, you're stuck. Sorry. But we thank you for joining us. We had a lot of fun. It was great.
It was a great night, full of great evidence too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just like the weird energy grouping of us all. We're all a bunch of weirdos. Maybe it just like flocked in or something.
The weird energy.
It's possible.
It's weird.
I'm just saying. So once again, we'll be linking all of Dylan's Twitch and his YouTube.
Please go give him a watch, guys. He's really awesome.
Oh, yeah. Very entertaining to watch.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll be linking that in the description box and our link tree. And don't forget to check us out on all of our social medias. We're on Facebook at Sunday Night Spookies, on Twitter at Sunday Spookies, on Instagram at Sunday Night Spookies, and on TikTok at Sunday Night Spookies.
And for those of you listening on a podcasting app, we're on YouTube. Hi.
Yes. Join us on YouTube also.
Yeah. We also have some affiliates in our description box. If you would like to start your own podcast, we have a link for Buzzsprout, which is the hosting website where it tracks monetization, it tracks our views, our stats, everything that we need to run the podcast. It tracks for us, and it's super convenient. We also have an affiliate link for Instacart if you'd like to get your groceries delivered, like I do. I hate going in public. I hate grocery shopping because I always buy too much stuff that I don't need. Get your groceries delivered in as little as an hour with Instacart. And we have a few links for our spirit box and our EMF detector through Amazon. Those are 2 pieces of equipment we never leave at home. We love those 2. They're never failing. All of those links are affiliates, as I said, so we do get a small kickback if you decide to purchase any good and services from them. However, each good and service is available without using our affiliate links if you just Google and go to the respective places. We also have a support the show link. We are 2 college girls running a podcast and doing investigations. It can get kind of pricey with equipment and camera gear and paying for locations. So if you'd like to donate to our cause, or if there's a location that you're really particularly interested in that you want us to visit, you can donate to our cause, I'd say. Obviously, it's not needed. Anything that you guys give towards us goes right back into giving better and more content to you guys. Even just liking, rating on iTunes and Spotify especially, and watching our YouTube video, it helps us tremendously. So we thank you guys for all you do.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Sunday Night Spookies.
Join us next week for our episode about the demonic possession of Annalise Michelle.
New episodes are released every Sunday evening. Thanks so much for listening, and as always, stay spooky.
Hey, I don't think you have any water left. In case you're wondering.
No, I do. Oh, Alexis, you beautiful bitch.
You should put that in the bloopers. Alexis, you beautiful bitch.
I don't think you have water left. Alexis, you beautiful bitch.